First unwilling time. Yo, what's going on? It's someone that's someone, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report is coming from Tom, off Earwood. When this happened, 2012, the drug used was methoxetamine, at a dose of, coming from Earwood's note, it's entirely unclear how much material was insufflated. The reported dose as filled out in the submission form is 10 milligrams, and the dose mentioned in the report itself is 80 milligrams. The route administration, insufflation, gender, male, weight, 83 kilograms, age, 20, and his prior experience, ketamine. Okay, so today, we're finally introducing the dissociative substance, methoxetamine, or commonly shortened to MXE. If you don't know, we did bring this substance up in a report on our Patreon, where a user combined this with MDMA. So here we are to get an idea of what it's like on its own. This is a pretty well-known substance within the research chemical market. In fact, it was designed for that purpose and hasn't really seen any research done on it for medicinal purposes. It is controlled in many places, but also not in many others. It is most often compared to ketamine with its effects, though others say it can be like DXM, PCP, or rather a dissociative with its own character. Today's report gives us a taste of that, especially when you consider the visual, auditory, anesthetic, and synesthetic effects that are mentioned. We'll break MXE down more after the report and get an idea of this substance. I'm sure you'll enjoy this, so without further ado, let's dive right into this. I took MXE the day before yesterday, and I'm only now fully recovering from the effects of the drug. A friend brought up a bag of what she thought was ketamine at the time, and I proceeded to sniff about 80 milligrams in one line. I now know snorting isn't exactly the done thing with this stuff. My nose burnt like hell and eyes watered like mad straight away. About 10 minutes in, the film I had put on started to distort, words being elongated, overlapping sounds, and at the same time, unable to find where they're coming from. Then I experienced a shrill vibrating noise, seemed to be coming from inside my head, but all over the room at the same time. I walked into the hallway and was met with a trip of pristine white staircases. Traveling upwards, there was a portrait of my mom at every level, and upon reaching the top, I was met with out of my eyes vision again, which freaked me out to no end, and I began to panic. Alice in Wonderland syndrome was evident, although at the time, I didn't know of this and was shouting, "It's just like Alice in Wonderland in here." Small items in my kitchen, like an empty rum bottle, kept me anchored to reality temporarily, but a deep breath or a panic intake of breath would push me back out of my body again, and I felt like I saw different realms, doorways with different physics to ours, lone trees, and massive landscapes, for example. Hard to recount, but really eye-opening stuff. I was convinced this was the end. My head kept leaving my body and resurfacing somewhere else. I was apologizing and blubbering to God, to Satan, to stop the vibrations in my head. I was convinced my brain couldn't handle this foreign substance. Verbally, I said foreign secretaries apparently, and that I was going to die here in my kitchen. My limbs jerked everywhere for some reason, more like a possession than the K-hole I was expecting. After about 2 hours, and my friends telling me to ride the trip out, I began to plateau to a level of control again. I found I had blood all over my arms and had scratched a massive patch of skin off my elbow, and blood was coming from my nose, which had been pissing blood since I tried to force the chemical back out during my trip. I also remember my hands were moving really slowly, but I knew I was moving them really fast. On the whole, a very real experience that I cannot wait to feel again, the synesthesia especially. I felt I could feel my sight. It sounds weird, but my vision was like running water. I would do it again, and I definitely feel its addictive quality. Okay, so methoxetamine. This is a pretty well-known research chemical that's been around for a good minute now. It came around in the early 2010s with intentions for it to be a ketamine alternative. Ketamine has been around for a while now, since the 1960s, when it was designed to act as an anesthetic. One thing that's known is its potential to cause urinary tract infections. Methoxetamine may be a prodrug because it is more potent than ketamine, so you don't need to take nearly as much. Research has found in mice that urinary tract problems can still become an issue, but it was with a study that was done with only high doses. Small or moderate doses may not present this issue, but it can more easily become a problem with addiction, of course. And also, MXE of course was not scheduled at the start, but quickly gained attention in the early 2010s. A good handful of countries have scheduled it. It reportedly made its way to club scenes because of its ability to produce euphoria and act as a strong dissociative. MXE and ketamine are part of a family called aerocyclohexamines. PCP is also a part of this. Because of this, a lot of the effects of MXE and these other derivatives and analogs can be compared to ketamine or PCP. Likewise, MXE produces its effects by mainly acting as an NMDA receptor antagonist. This is thought to cause the bulk of the dissociative effects, such as your motor loss control, tactile disconnection, visual and audio distortions, depersonalization, derealization, out-of-body feelings. You can end up in an M-hole, and a lot more hallucinatory and disconnective effects. Now, like ketamine, MXE both have S and R isomers, which, if you don't know, each isomer is reportedly a bit different in their effects. Some claim it to be the difference of a head high and a body high. MXE, though, is typically going to be racemic, which it contains both isomers. Its S isomer is thought to provide the NMDA activity, but when it comes to the R isomer, it shows that it has impact as a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, something that can certainly contribute to the effects in many ways, potentially adding to the antidepressive effects. But because of this effect, it should be a concern when it comes to combinations and the potential for serotonin syndrome to occur. Like I said earlier, we did do a report where MXE and both MDMA were consumed, alongside nitrous, alcohol, and tobacco. But in this report, we don't see any signs of serotonin syndrome. In theory, this combo, or any SSRI, or any serotonin-impacting substance, could lead to serotonin syndrome. And since we're on combinations, any kind of stimulant should be avoided, as the two can potentiate each other to discomforting levels, with effects including tachycardia and possibly mania. Also, most depressants as well. A depressant is most likely going to influence disinhibition, memory loss, and increase the risk of vomit asphyxiation. MAOIs are another thing you'll want to avoid. Other than that, MXE may also activate dopaminergic neurotransmission, which may add to the pleasurable effects experienced. The experience is about twice as long as ketamine, that is, about 4 to 6 hours, depending on the route of administration. Most people tend to snort this stuff, but it has seen usage orally, rectally, and through injection. MXE is often reported to be stronger than ketamine. Some may see it as more favorable, but with most dissociatives, there is a degree of risk involved. Besides in the risk of combinations, there is a risk of overdosing and risk for addiction to set in. Strong doses can lead to very discomforting states, feelings of mania, paranoia, thought loops, and more can set in, making you feel unstable and possibly act out in an undesirable manner. Think about PCP rage and how this user was acting towards the end of his report. Now, death from overdose hasn't been reported with MXE alone. Any deaths reported comes from those done in combination. But one of the biggest risks people do consider is the addiction of it. Dissociative substances can be very addicting for some people. While it can be effective therapeutically, it is something some tend to seek out too much. Compulsive dosing and redosing is common. Being dependent on something like MXE could lead to a very unstable mental state. It is an addiction that could easily inhibit you from your responsibilities. Like I said before as well, there is also the physical risk of a urinary tract infection to develop. MXE might be better than ketamine at preventing this, but taking it frequently, especially with increasing the doses, you could be at risk here. Besides all that, MXE is a pretty interesting substance. Recently, ketamine has been researched more for its potential as an antidepressant. MXE is thought to carry similar benefits, possibly more efficiently. But I think it can do more than this. It very well can act as an anesthetic, and the creator of MXE himself used it to help deal with phantom pain. Dissociatives do a good job at dissociating. This will include pain. so maybe it can provide efficient pain relief in some situations. But even though MXE has been around for a decade now, there still needs to be a lot more research to figure these things out. Only more research, and time will tell. So we're going to end it there for today. If you guys did enjoy this report on MXE, want to see more on dissociative substances, or any substance at all, let me know in the comments below and we'll do that. If you have your own report you want to see, send it to NoOneSubmitReport@gmail.com or follow the link below. If you want to see that other MXE report with MDMA, follow my Patreon, link below. And if you did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, follow the socials, share the video. It's been Someone That's Someone, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.